Welcome to episode 56 of the Reluctant Leader podcast. I'm Paul Jenkins, your host, and today I'm interviewing Sarah Holstra. She is one of my cohort members in a doctoral program that I started in August, and I hope I get to interview all of my cohort members eventually. She's the first one, and I'm super excited about this conversation. It challenged me, and you're going to hear me processing and growing throughout the conversation. I think you'll be challenged as well, and you'll be fascinated with the things that Sarah's doing. So let's jump into episode 56 with Sarah Holstra. Hey, we're honored to have Sarah Holstra with us on the podcast today. So I'm going to read this long introduction, Sarah, and then you can correct it whatever you want to. You work in faith-based counseling, spiritual direction. You help people make sense of relationships, help people set healthy boundaries, process spiritual and church trauma, issues around anxiety, depression, grief, communication, weight, appearance, struggles. I am tired just saying it. You also like to read. So just put a pin in this, because on your website, it said at the very end to make sure that I ask you about what book you're currently reading. So we'll do that at the end. But first, I'm going to give you the chance to tell us whatever you want about yourself, but please, just for me, for nobody else, answer the question, what is a boundary coach? Because I love that. And I've been in ministry long enough to know that I bet I need it.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me. So what you read is off one of my two kind of hats that I wear. So what you read is off of Love Your Story Therapy, where I work as a biblical counselor, which is pretty easy to understand, sort of the Christian counseling. I'm a non-licensed counselor, right? So I went to school, but I didn't go the licensure route, and I did that on purpose. I can tell you more about that. And I also work as a boundary coach, which is a title I totally made up, sort of on accident, but I love it. And you can think of this like if you have a good friend who, when you have to say something hard, maybe in a text message, who's like, I'll write the text for you. Like, I'm not afraid to say that hard thing. That's kind of like what I do, but I get paid to do it. So if you have to have a hard conversation with a parent, an in-law, a spouse, a kid, I help coach people how to identify boundaries, set those boundaries, have follow-up conversations about those boundaries. So that could look like really serious things, like having conversations with a co-parent about shared time, or what things they're comfortable with their kids watching or doing. Or things as simple as having a roommate conversation about somebody ate somebody else's leftovers. And as much as that seems silly, those are hard conversations to have. And a lot of us avoid those conversations, those small boundary things, and they end up growing into big dramatic things, right? So I help people sort of navigate those things so that they learn to say what they want and what they need and how to deal with conflict, hopefully on smaller scales, so that it doesn't grow into bigger things. And that's for people in every context, including but not limited to ministry and the church, but also just in regular relationships.
Yeah, I feel like you could be busy the rest of your life just doing that one thing, because our society has 100% lost the ability to do what you're helping people do.
Honestly, it's something that when I'm able to explain it to people, most of the time they're like, oh, I totally need that. But what I more often hear is, oh, I know someone who needs that. Right? There is a little bit of a lack of self-awareness for oftentimes the people who need it most. What is really missing is that self-awareness. And even in some of the other things that we've talked about, I think that that's a missing piece for a lot of people that is really necessary, is the self-awareness of maybe it's a lack of humility or a lack of introspection of like, oh, actually, maybe I need help with this. Maybe I need to ask for that. It's hard.
It is hard. I was chuckling because that sounds so much like when I'm preaching, and you can, like, people are, they're subtle, right? That it's not like they just stand up in the middle and go, you needed to hear that. Like, you can kind of see the look or the nudge. And I've done it too. Like, and I'm thinking like, oh, I know somebody who needs this, but really it's the awareness to say, like, we all need help with these things. Are you okay talking about spiritual trauma and church
Yeah.
and hurt? Because one of the things that we're seeing here is in my context, we're in the South. So I think everybody has some form of spiritual trauma.
Yeah.
If they, not like we want to label everything trauma, but I think everybody's
Right.
got a story to tell.
Yeah.
In the South, I don't know what it's like where you are, but in the South, people are a little afraid to say it because
Mm.
it may have happened in the church that their family still attends, or
Mm.
like in my context, it's a very small town. So you're going to see that person at
Mhm.
Walmart. It's just
Mhm.
hard to know where to go with all the emotions. And so
Mhm.
even as a pastor, I wish people wouldn't leave church, but I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I wish I could come to church and it not be hard, but it feels
Mhm.
too hard and I don't know who
Yeah.
to talk to. And so I'm just going to check out. And
Absolutely.
God's gracious and he meets people where they are and all that. But
Mhm.
then like we're missing community. So just, do you mind talking a little bit about that? Just what you see
Yeah.
from your perspective in your counseling?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to know, in your context, do you find I'm reading the book, Holy Hurt by Hilary McBride.
Mm.
She's done a lot of great research on spiritual trauma, and she's defining that and working with people in the midst of that. And I'm surprised that there's a bit of a distinction, and I have found this in my experiences as well. Not all uh, of this trauma and this hurt is associated with church leadership. There's a lot more hurt associated with church community than I
Really?
expected. Yeah, I would say, in fact, all of my church hurt, and granted, I'm in leadership, and so I'm a lot less likely to be hurt by the community. Um, but I have been surprised to hear how much more hurt has just been sort of the, we would say, normal relational hurt that comes in community, of people feeling left out or feeling talked over and those sorts of things that have turned into spiritual hurt and have been sort of associated with church, and people have left church and not gone back to any church because they just suffered a relational hurt, and not just, they suffered a painful relational hurt within the church,
Yes.
and that has stained their relationship with the church for good. I have been really surprised by that, and
Mm.
it is less complex to work through, thankfully, and to help people find healing and some forgiveness and working through. Um, Still challenging, probably more challenging in your context when it is a smaller community, for sure.
Yeah.
I find that working through trauma and hurt when it has to do with authority figures tends to be more complex, as then it starts getting associated with parental figures, with God, with any pastor that they learn to sit under, so that it adds layers to it, for sure. Um, it's possible, it's realistic, it's absolutely, I think that there is always hope for everyone, to find steps of healing from anything. But yeah, I am so impressed with people who come and sit with me looking for any kind of healing from any kind of spiritual hurt or trauma, because they are coming to someone who is a pastor, and
Right.
who is a spiritual counselor, and that is listed everywhere. There's no bait and switch there. And I see people who aren't religious, and who aren't looking for that. Um, but even people who aren't religious and who aren't looking for talking about faith or spirituality, even the fact that they came to someone with that in their title and in their education, I just find so impressive and so interesting that they are open to that in some sense.
Yeah.
So I love it. I'm always so interested in why people chose to come to me. And especially because I'm not a licensed therapist, it's not even just that, like, they just needed a therapist, right? Like, I can't offer medication or assessments or diagnoses. So it's not like, oh, they're just with a long wait for any other therapist, you know?
Right.
Like, they're really coming looking for something. And so people who are willing to talk through church trauma with someone who is in some way a reflection of the body that hurt them, I just think it's so courageous, and I love doing that work.
Yeah. And it makes what you do so weighty as well,
Yeah.
because like I'll tell people they'll come into the church from another church, and it doesn't
Mhm.
take long, if they're willing for
Yes.
that to kind of leak out. And
Yes.
so what we tell people all the time is like, look, we're going to say things from the platform that you heard in the other context.
Mhm.
You're going to immediately think that it's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it could be. I don't want to say that.
That's true.
More times than not, people aren't hurt by a lie. They're hurt by somebody who spoke the truth but didn't live it the way it should have been lived.
Yeah.
And so then,
Yeah.
like, the next person communicates the same truth, and it's like, oh, you're just like that person.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's very courageous to step in and just like try again, because they could just not.
Well, and no one would blame them.
I guess because I'm a leader, so like
Mhm.
I just assume all church hurt happens because it was a televangelist, or because somebody got into ministry and got used by the leadership, and the
Yes.
churches. It's sad to say, but we're the worst or the best at just squeezing every bit of life out of somebody and then throwing them away.
Absolutely.
But that relational hurt, it
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense, because
Yeah.
we tell people here, like, you don't need a bunch of people to have conflict. You just need yourself.
Mhm.
Like, I argue with myself all the time. So you add one or two people to the mix. Yeah, like that relational thing is huge. But listeners, Sarah and I are both in the same cohort. We're both pursuing
Mhm.
our doctorates in ministry. And I love telling people this because their faces get so big. They're like, what are
Oh
you
my
studying? And I
gosh.
say,
Yes.
spiritual formation and relational neuroscience. And they just go, you must be brilliant. And I said, no, that's why I'm in school, right? In school to learn what those terms actually mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it brings up all these, I guess people that aren't Christian that are coming to you. I mean, the hurt is still the same, but I feel like there's a deeper hurt when it happens in church, because we almost expect people to be jerks sometimes, but we don't expect God to be. And so when Christians we're all human, right? Like
Mhm.
we all can be jerks, but when we don't reflect God, I think it's just another level of like, disappointment might be the right word. I don't know. It's just like,
Yeah.
I thought y'all be different, and you're just like
Yeah.
me. Now,
Yeah.
from my perspective as a pastor, I want people to be free to just be you. But just talking with you, I can think from somebody coming into the church from the other side, expecting, hoping, please God, let these people be different.
Yeah.
Well, that you've got me thinking now. Like, just I don't want to add to that.
Yeah.
So, not that you have to have all the answers, but or do therapy with me right now. But how do we not add to that? Because we're going to hurt people.
Yeah.
Just no way around it.
Yeah. I know it's so difficult, and so much. So much is um closing the gap between those um overfilled expectations, I think. Um and it's not, in my opinion, it's not that hard to make those realistic. Like, I try to do that pretty quickly with people that I sit with. Of like, hey, I don't have all the answers. I don't have a perfect relationship with God or all the answers. Um, one of the reasons that I've continued to not pursue being a licensed therapist, um, partially because I have a lot of freedom in what I do as a pastor, and um, I don't have to be under the state licensing authority. I'm not limited in what I can talk about, which to a licensed therapist can sound really scary. I'm not like banging people over the head with the Bible or pushing my views. I have a lot of respect for, you know, confidentiality and all of those things, but I get to bring my whole person into conversations with people. I'm very sensitive to what people are ready for, what people need. I'm not trying to turn them into something that they're not. But I also get to say, I don't know. I get to say, here's what I think. I also get to acknowledge, hey, Paul, when you were saying that, I found myself feeling really uncomfortable and sad. But I noticed that you didn't seem very sad when you were saying that. I wonder why that is. Like, do you hear that that's a really sad story that you're telling? Are you connected to that sadness? Because it's not my story, but I felt sad when you were saying it, right? I get to acknowledge what's happening inside of me as a human being and not as I'm not objective and I don't have to pretend to be objective, which is
Right.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I also get to say, well, in my experience with God, here's what God kind of sounds like to me. That's sort of what I'm hearing in this voice that you're talking about. Could that be God inviting you into something? Right? Or I have never experienced God to be condemning. And what you're describing is a lot of condemnation. So that doesn't sound like God to me.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Right? So I'm
Yeah.
I'm still putting it back on people, but I'm trying to narrow that gap between what they're expecting, what they could be coming in expecting me or me as a reflection of the church to be, to just like, hey, we're two human beings. We're going to elevate God, but we're staying like we're keeping ourselves realistic here,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
in
And
in
that's
an
so important.
imperfect, moldable kind of way.
Yeah.
I hope that that is something that they see in process, kind of in a realistic kind of day-to-day way,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think there's always a gap between what we expect and what we experience. Right. Well, I shouldn't say
Right.
always. There's
Almost always.
almost always
Yeah.
9.9975% kind of what we expect and what we experience. There's just not, they're not going to line up. And so I think I
Yeah.
heard Andy Stanley say it first. I just read Secure Attachment,
Mhm.
and I heard it in that book as well. But like, it's
Mhm.
like, how do we coach? How do we pastor? How do we shepherd,
Yeah.
mentor people to pay attention to what they're putting in that gap? Right. So
Yeah.
like, whatever I expect and whatever I experience, I either assume the worst or believe the best about the person who let me down.
Yeah.
And I feel like our culture is just, and myself as well, we're just too quick to go to the worst. Like,
Yeah.
the reason you didn't talk to me is because you hate me or you are a
Yeah.
jerk and you're trying to take, as opposed to like, maybe they were just busy. Maybe they didn't even see me. Maybe they were just trying to get to their next appointment. Like
Yeah.
we just tend to assume the worst. And then that, like you said, becomes that narrative in our mind and it gets
Yeah.
solidified and we become these like hard, bitter people who are also
Mhm.
talking about this great God.
Right.
Your words aren't matching up with what I'm
Yeah.
seeing there. It's so important to help people. I love that you do that. Just like, let's state the expectations. Let's make them obvious and practical. And
Mhm.
I love that you get to reflect back to people because I would imagine you have quite a few people that just go, wow, like now that you say it that way, yeah, I guess I don't know why I'm not sad about that.
Yeah.
Just the reflection back to allow them to process, I would imagine is very powerful.
Sure. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about, a lot of what I'm kind of going through personally with my church. And I'm so interested in this idea of like relational repair, right? And when we were in our cohort, our doctoral cohort together, one of the things one of our professors said was that the church is supposed to be this new family that is the example to the world of how to do relational repair. And I just
Yeah.
was so, I just find that to be so profound and so compelling, right? If there was anything that I want the church to be the model of, like, to do relational repair so well. And we would all agree that
Yes.
we are currently not the model for that. Quite the opposite, in fact. And so I've been thinking so much about like, what would it be like for us to be that? And it would have so much to do with attachment, right? So much to do with us understanding attachment and modeling that and being able to adapt to that well. And so I've been thinking a lot for us as leaders, that would mean that we have to be really good at it. But I also, in regards to what you just said, I'm so curious, what is appropriate for us to expect or ask of people in the church when it comes to repair, right? Like, as I'm processing my own church hurt as a pastor, so I can have very high expectations of myself because I'm processing this all. I can set the expectation for myself to fill the gap with trust, right? Rather than suspicion. Like, I can do that. I don't want to ask a victim, quote unquote, right? Somebody who has suffered hurt within the church, whether that's relational hurt, like horizontal hurt, or vertical hurt from a leader. I don't want to ask more of them of like, no, fill the gap with trust, like all these things when like they've been hurt. But I also like, I don't know what, I know a lot of things I can ask of leaders to prevent the hurt, right?
Right.
But I don't know what to ask of the leaders once the hurt has happened. If they don't know the hurt has happened, it's like, well, I have to ask the person who has been hurt to bring that to the leader, which already, like, that's already a lot. So is it just like we have to ask the leader to like respond really well when it's brought to them? And that's the only thing, like I want us to be so good at it, but we only get such a small window if someone is willing to bring it to us. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about that? I've just been like mulling over that so much recently.
I keep thinking, boy, we need to pray more. That's what I keep thinking. Like,
Huh.
because that we need to be led by the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love hearing you say that, because it's even making me rethink. I try not to be the pastor who has the cliche answer. I mean, some cliches are cliches because they're true and we all say them.
Yeah.
So one of the things one of my cliches personally is like, truth is black or white, but the application of it gets very gray. So like, it's true, we should believe the best. Absolutely true.
Yes.
But applying that gets very gray.
Yes.
And I don't guess it's going to make me change the way I say it the next time I say this conversation. And I love that, because you're right. Asking somebody, like if somebody's sitting in my church and I say, hey, when there's a gap between what you expect and experience, you need to believe the best, not assume the worst. If it's like asking somebody with a broken arm to throw the ball to you. Like,
yeah,
if I could, I would, but I can't, so I won't. And like, we need to be maybe a little more gracious in how we say that. Like, and I believe this too. We're all created in the image of God. We're studying this. I'll maybe have a different answer in 3 years, but for right now, I think because we're in the image of God, like I know at our core, we're sinful. I know that sin's ruined us and marred us, but there's something in us that's from God that's good. And so people, I want to say, naturally want to do good things. I'm not denying sin, but people want to believe the best. Nobody wakes up and says, today I want to be a mass murderer. Like they want to fulfill their purpose. And so like, if they can't, that's why they need coaching, healing, therapy. Because like now it's like, I want to do it, but I can't do it. And now I feel even more shame because I can't do what I want to do. And maybe I'm just a bad person and I'll never get better. Like somehow, we need to couch the way we say things in a way that can be received with grace and honor. I think honoring people as individuals and humans and people made in his image, I think that's huge. That's not something we reserve just for Christians, right? Like I heard a preacher say one time, he started going in his city. He would find people that weren't Christians and that they were doing good things. And he would say this to them, you remind me of Jesus. And the people who were not following Jesus would look at him like, what? I don't even love Jesus. He said, you don't have to love Jesus to act like Jesus. What you just did reminded me of something Jesus would have done. And it was just like his way of trying to call that image of God back out. Like that's who we were made to be. So I think that for sure. And then just the prayer part is just, I feel the weight of that small window you mentioned. Somebody only comes to my church one time. Well, I'm not smart enough to know what they need. like if they came to you one session,
Mhm.
it's like, okay, God, we're going to just tell the truth, love people as the best we can, and we're going to trust Psalm 139 that wherever they go after this moment, you're going to be with them. You're going to hunt them down in a good way, not in a southern I'm going to kill you like an animal way. You're going to hunt them down, and you're going to woo them back to yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't answer your question, but I don't know that there is an answer, because I think it's
Yeah.
maybe something we need to sit with and be like, wow, I I took this away from our cohort. I think more now about the words I say, like not in
Mhm.
a cautious way, but in a, I don't want to just like say stuff like
Mhm.
Jeff and Sid may never listen to this podcast, but if they do, I told them this at the cohort. Those are our professors leading the cohort. I just so appreciate the intentionality. Like I
Mhm.
never felt like they said or did something that they didn't think about beforehand, and
So true.
it it made the words hit a certain way. And
Yes.
I just had this conversation with some pastors. I'm in a local group with some pastors, and we're talking about how Jesus said we'll be judged for every careless word that we speak. And
Mhm.
like as a 20 some odd year youth pastor, that verse hits me hard.
Oh, yeah.
I've spoken a lot of careless words, but
Mhm.
it doesn't mean we can't shoot from the hip or that kind of stuff. It literally means that they're barren words that can't produce life. Yeah, maybe we're better off to close our mouths
Wow.
and just, I don't know. You asked me a question. I don't. I'm not trying. I don't even feel the pressure to have an answer. I'm just
No, no. Yeah, that's
sitting with the
so
weight of
good.
what you just said.
Yeah.
Like there are people that are really hurting, and I I think people, maybe we're just too quick to want to be right and prove
Mhm.
that our point is that we're smarter, or that we're up here helping and you're down here as the person who always needs help.
Mhm.
When God wants all of us to be at a healthy place together, which makes what you do so important.
Thank you. Yeah, there's also that desire when we think about preaching. Like we do sort of preach. Uh, my very wise friend Bo says we preach, truth, and we work it out with nuance, you know.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
we have to preach kind of big picture, and that's absolutely true. And we definitely have to do repair work one on one. But I still think there has to be some big picture. I just feel like there's something in scripture for us to unlock when it comes to this idea of repair, and it has to be better than Matthew 18 and putting people in front of the church to repair. Like I just feel like
Oh,
God has something better for us
and
than shaming people.
100%. Because I think I've talked to leaders before. I just said this some other day. Like I hear pastors preach about like hell, and it
Mhm.
almost sounds like they're happy people are going. And I'm
Mm.
like, I don't know that we should. No, it's not. It's not a
No.
victory that people reject Jesus. Like that's a loss to
No.
the kingdom.
Yes.
And I do think I've heard people like live out Matthew 18, almost like, well, I'm going to come to you one on one, but if you don't repent, then I'll bring the leaders back, and then I guess now we get to put you in front of the whole church. It's almost like they hope they get to that end, and I'm like, no, that's not the
Mm.
point. The
No,
point is
no.
not to want to put people in front of anybody to shame them.
No.
And I know one question I was going to ask you, and I think this fits. I asked it, I had it written as leaders, but just for people in general.
Yeah.
Here's the tension: like we need each other for healing,
Mhm.
but especially for you, like what you read in the book Holy Hurt.
Mhm.
If people are hurt by relationships, they're like, well, the thing I need to heal me is also the thing that kind of hurt me. And
Mhm.
now we're talking about attachment style, because that sounds very war zone-ish, doesn't it? Like
Yes.
I need you, but I'm scared of you, and what do I do? So every church that we go to is going to have some element of community. And we say that because you can't read the Bible and not see it. Like
Mm.
clearly, we need to be in each other's homes and in each other's lives. But that's also the thing that's very hard. So like where does vulnerability come into play with that? And how do
Mm.
you talk to the people that you counsel about, well, like you said, trusting again when they have every reason not to. And that's that sacred vulnerability it's really holy for somebody to say, well, I'm willing to try again. How do you
Yeah.
kind of coach them along in that? And how
Oh,
would you coach
yeah.
people like me that are leading churches that want to honor that?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a holy space to be in. Yeah. So with people who've been hurt in relationships, part of, we talk about this with attachment, right? You can relearn or learn for the first time. You can learn secure attachment, right? Even if you didn't learn it growing up. And the best way to do that is with a therapist, right? So you can, I say this very explicitly with people that I work with, like, hey, what my hope is that you will find my space, my office, to be a place that feels safe to you and that I would be a safe place to you. I'm not going to be a perfect place, but I hope that you find, even if I say something that bothers you or rubs you the wrong way, that if you'd be willing to tell me that you will receive back. I will apologize. I will take responsibility and I'll work to repair that with you. And I tell people, I hope that you'll hear my voice as one that will be reassuring and will help you identify truth and things like that. And that you'll start to internalize my voice and that it will start to combat the negative voice that you have internally. And then my hope is that over time, you'll start to replace my voice with your voice, but that it will say the things that I say, the positive things, right? That's earned secure attachment. So my hope is that the first step is to do that with someone that is trusted, that is a good therapist, that is with God. And then to go into relationships slowly with realistic expectations. So to do it a little bit at a time, to recognize small victories, to slowly build it up, right? To not re-traumatize yourself, but to say, like, my goal is just to say hello to some people at church, to introduce myself, to give someone a hug, and to let that be okay, right? To set those expectations ahead of time, to have a plan for if I start to feel overwhelmed, to do those sorts of things. So that's how I would kind of help someone reintroduce, and to just kind of walk through it with really small, measurable ways.
Yeah.
And I think that is possible. I think we push
helpful.
ourselves too far too fast in those things
Yes.
because we look at, oh, I'm supposed to be in this space, so I should just like go back to it because I'm supposed to. And that tends to just make it worse. And then we kind of dissociate from ourselves. And then we never heal.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
when it
every
comes,
single week, the pastor gets up and says, "You should be serving on a team," and I'm like, "It was all I could do just to sit here for 30 minutes."
yeah,
Sorry to
yes,
interrupt you, but I'm just like, there's so much room for the enemy just to like heap shame. And I preached a message years ago called "Who Needs the Devil When I've Got You?" Excuse me, because like he comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but he didn't have to do the work because we do it to ourselves, right? So like, if we're heaping on shame, either from what's being said from the platform or what's said to the people next to us, or in our own mind, and it's like that small victory gets swallowed up by all the things I think I'm supposed to be doing by now. I should be over it by now. And I love your approach to just say, like, just breathe, relax, like, just let's celebrate that you pulled into the parking lot and then you turned out. But you pulled into the parking lot, like, and next time maybe you're getting out of the car. I think from my perspective, leaders probably aren't willing to be patient and just let people take their time because it's like, it feels like there's so much to do. But man, he wants healthy people.
no, that is so true. And I have so many thoughts about that. Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah. And you
Oh,
just feel that tension too, because you're like,
yeah,
you're in a church as a pastoral counselor.
yes,
So like, and clearly churches need volunteers. Like there's no way
yes,
around it. We build the kingdom together, but you also, you see firsthand, man, the way that can just heap so much on people. Like If they're not ready, they're not ready. And again, I go back to
Mhm.
that broken arm thing. It's like asking somebody with a broken arm to carry the groceries in. It's like they can't
Yeah.
do it. Like,
Yeah.
they might want to, but they can't. So it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I also I'm also the growth pastor at my church. So
Mm.
I work with outreach and hospitality and yeah, like very
You
real
see it firsthand.
volunteer led things. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to vulnerability with leaders, I think I think for us I think that that's an issue as well. I think the growth track for us is similar in that it's about I think we can look at it as very all or nothing, and that's where we get
Mhm.
the oversharers or the never sharers, those of us
Okay.
who are like, "Oh, we have these terrible stories of people, like, telling their whole life story or, trauma dumping or whatever." Or most of us who are just like, "Oh, no, it's fine. Like, I'm good." Or we have like a token, like, "I'll tell you about my dog." Like, that's something true about me, but not like
Right.
what's actually going on. Because we think it has to be all or nothing rather than having, again, the self awareness and also the humility to be able to share in small amounts, to be able to be regulated enough and rested and fed enough to say, like, "Hey, what do I need?" Like, okay, you know what? Like, I am feeling a little disconnected. So in this staff meeting, it would be helpful for me to share one or two things about what is really going on with me because I do want to feel connected to my staff today. Right? Or like I do need prayer for this. Like this actually is something that is going on that like it would help if my team was praying for me in this or this my small group, right? Like it is okay. I what's the word? I reject the idea that as a small group leader, as a pastor, that my small group does not also know what's going on in my life and be praying for me,
Right.
right? I'm a human being. I'm 37 years old, and I like people share when vulnerability is modeled, right? Like people don't need another like Stepford pastor who just is like,
Yeah.
everybody share vulnerably except for me, especially these like younger generations. These younger generations are coming back to church, and we need to receive that with authenticity and vulnerability, or they're going to turn right around and leave.
Yeah.
Like this is what we're learning, but it can't be. Yeah, it has to be real, and that's like neuroscience tells us that's what we need too. Like we need authenticity. So like this is great because that's actually what humans thrive in. So I think
Right.
we have to engage with that.
Yeah. That this conversation gives me so much hope, right? And then I love the work that you're doing. I love the ministry that you're performing. I love talking about vulnerability. Love that you're calling out leaders to like not just speak truth, but model it, like live it.
Yeah,
Like let's be our whole selves. And I know all I know is the South. I don't know any other part of the country
sure.
really in ministry, but the fake it till you make it thing is real here
Mhm,
with
mhm.
leaders. We say faith it till you make it, which not the same as faking it. Because sometimes you just gotta be like, hey God, this what I'm going through right now is hard. It's painful, but I trust you anyway. And
Yeah.
like it's the whole Job, like though you slay me, I'll still praise you. And it's
Mhm.
hard to find leaders that now, I don't know if anybody ever feels really comfortable. If somebody feels really comfortable being vulnerable, I'm a little scared of that person. But I think but at least willing to embrace the discomfort of it. This
Yes.
is something that
Yes.
we need. And I think that's huge. I know the cohort that we were in, like our stories that we shared, that was a big part of it for me. It was like,
Yeah.
wow, everybody is taking the step in. Like we're just risking it and we're sharing some real
Mhm.
painful moments of our lives. And I don't know which one of our cohort members said it, but like at the end of the week, it's like, God, we're just like family. Like,
Yeah.
I watch shows like Survivor and I'm sure it's fake and all that stuff, but like there's
Sure,
some
yeah.
real authentic, like crying over somebody leaving that you just met yesterday
Yes.
because they've been through something together.
Yes.
They've seen each other at their weakest and most
Yes.
vulnerable, and there's a bonding that takes place, which
Yeah.
boy, I'm like, if the church could just embrace that, right? Embrace that. Well, let me as we embrace that, because I do think the church is. I think there's a wave coming that is like, we're not doing the pastor's perfect and all the leaders are perfect. No, and even what you shared about in a staff meeting, saying like, let me tell you what I'm feeling right now. Let me just share what I'm feeling. What I need you to know about me. I've seen that, like just a personal story that I have with our team. Like there's such power in that. Like they're like, people don't actually go, well, you can't be my pastor. They go,
No.
I'm glad you're my pastor. Like
Yeah.
that's what I want leaders to get. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable because there's such fruit on the other side of it.
Yes. When I think of vulnerability, I love what you were talking about earlier about that, like barren words and like how they don't produce fruit. And like to me, vulnerability is like the most abundantly fruitful kind of words. Like
Yeah.
anything vulnerable is going to produce fruit. Like
Yeah.
authentically vulnerable, like something is going to come from it no matter what. Like that's so good.
Yeah. That's when people lean in.
Yeah.
Like somebody gets up and starts sharing their story and people go, I want to know more about that.
Yes.
I want to get to know you better.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's just is it Brene Brown that says that shame lives in secret, but it dies in story? I
Yes.
love that quote. Like we need to tell each other our stories more and more. Just kill the shame, just
Yeah.
kill the shame. Man, Sarah, you're doing great stuff. I want to wrap it up like this. I definitely want to
Yeah.
hear if you're, I was going to say if you're reading a book, but if you're a reader like I am, I know you're reading a book, but
Yes.
what book are you
Yes.
reading? What do you love about it? And then anything you want to share with us, like, and how, if you want people to get in touch with you or whatever, just tell us what you want us to know.
Thank you. Well, one of the things that I have learned that I need to do to take care of myself, I naturally read a ton of nonfiction. That's how I learn. That's like how I develop as a person. So I'm actually I'm rereading a Brene Brown book for one job and a Pete Scazzero book for my other job, Emotionally Healthy Leader and The Gifts of Imperfection. Both amazing books, highly recommend, read multiple
Phenomenal
times,
book.
love them. Everyone should read both of them. So doing 2 rereads right now for both of my workspaces. But then what I do for fun is I love, I'm like narrowing it into like science, medical, bio thrillers.
Okay.
Which is like Michael Crichton is like the the writer of this. So like Jurassic Park, the Andromeda Strain, like that kind of sciencey medical fiction. I'm like obsessed. I love it. It's so fascinating to me. I just like devour that, especially so Friday and Saturdays are my day off. So I have like a big stack of those sorts of books that I picked up from the library yesterday that I just am like, I'm so excited to do nothing but just like sit and read today. I like cannot wait. And I haven't even had to turn the air conditioning on yet today. The weather's like really nice. So
It is. I've never been a big fiction reader, but
Mm.
after the first week at the cohort, I clearly am going to have to try fiction again because
yeah.
you're not the first person I heard that just said like, man, I just need to read things that don't require me to think. Right.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm taking that as like a sign from God that I need to try fiction.
Yes.
I don't know what I'll try first, but I'll give it a shot.
If I can just put in a word, Jurassic Park is my favorite book of all time. And it doesn't matter if you've seen the movie, the book is very different. It's very good. And it is like very exciting. That would be a great one to start with. It's like some of Michael Crichton's best.
Okay. I'll give it a shot for sure.
Let's see. Yeah. I mean, you can find me on Instagram. I have been fighting to actually have this be my job title, and I haven't won yet, but you can find me on Instagram at Emotional Support Pastor. which is really fun, or just Sarah Holstra. A lot of my Instagram reach has grown on my Sarah Holstra because one of the ways that I'm very active in terms of being an advocate for other people, for queer people and people of color and those sorts of things as a pastor. That's really important to me. But I also have anxiety and work with a lot of people, and sometimes I just need to maintain my sanity. And so I got TikTok during COVID, like a lot of millennials. I never post anything on TikTok. But before I go to bed at night, I like watch TikToks, and the algorithm knows that what I want to see is things that make me happy, which is like videos of like babies and dogs and cute things. And so I save those videos, and then in the morning I post them on my Instagram. And so I keep meeting people in real life who are like, oh my gosh, I watch your Instagram because I repost videos of like cute things. I feel like I love all the videos you repost. And I'm like, I've never met you before, but like, thank you. So that's
That's awesome.
my legacy in the world, apparently.
Do you receive new clients? Is that, I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the right question to even ask, or do you just, I just
Yes.
think like it's just people from your church, or if you're like open to other people. So
No,
can
I'm
we
totally
look to
open to
that
new
as well?
clients. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And if people want to reach out to me, I can give you all the detail. Because I'm not a licensed therapist, I can see people in any state, which is awesome. And so I see people, yeah, virtually through our Love Your Story therapy. So we have a great collection of therapists of all different kinds, different specialties, and I'm also included on that. I've got lots of openings for people. If you'd like to meet with me professionally, I would love that. I specialize in women and couples, and also all kinds of emotional and spiritual hurt. So yeah, totally open to new clients and would love to welcome any listeners to your show.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you, Paul. This was so fun.
Yeah. I've enjoyed getting to know you even more. I
Yes,
love
you
that we're in this
too.
cohort together. It's awesome. So,
So fun.
yeah. Thanks again. Yeah, so what did I tell you? Wasn't that a great conversation? Y'all, there is so much to explore when it comes to things like attachment and how we communicate with people, and do we see them as people created in the image of God. I love that I get to study this. I'm loving that I get to pass it along to you, the things that I'm learning. And if it's of value, I hope you'll share this, maybe with a friend that you know would be encouraged by it. And as always, man, keep doing your best and know that God will do the rest. We'll talk to you soon.